Hi guys, welcome back to What's on My Plate. So for tonight, I'm making a lobster bisque soup. It's quick and easy and so delicious. You're going to love it. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get started with this lobster bisque soup. So I bought an already cooked lobster. This is about 1¼ pounds. It's right here, pre-cooked already. So that part's done. So we're gonna make a stock out of the shell of the lobster, and then we're gonna incorporate all our vegetables and our herbs, and that is how our lobster bisque is going to begin. I'm so excited. Okay, so we're just gonna get to the next step, which would be chopping up the vegetables and then taking the meat of the lobster out of its shell. So we'll get to that step next. Okay, so I put the vegetables aside. We're gonna work on removing the meat from the lobster because I'm gonna rough chop it and put the meat in the refrigerator, and I'm gonna break the shell into little pieces because we're gonna make a stock out of this. So just basically twist this off. Get the meat out. Okay, and then if there's any greenish stuff on here, just rinse that off. Okay, we need our shears here just to cut the meat out. So excited for this soup. Okay, so we are going to use all this to make our stock. So I'm just going to rinse this part over here out real quick, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so I rinsed this off, and now we're going to take the claws here and get all the meat that we can get out of this. Okay, so we have to crack open the claw. That's a little messy. Splattering everywhere. And then just take that and crack it back. Okay, and just do your best to get all the meat out. And again, this is going to go in the stock. This is going to go in the stock. And then the meat in here we can kind of pull out. Okay, right there. And then just do the same thing with this. Break it open, snap this back, and pull this out. Okay, there's the claw. So having it pre-cooked is so great. So I'm just going to finish this up, and I'm going to just clean this up here, and then I'm just going to show you how I'm just going to chop this all up and put this in the fridge. That'll be the next step. Okay, so this is how much I received out of my lobster. So it was 1¼ pound of lobster. So I'm going to cut it right down the center. All this here, just remove it, and then I'm going to rinse this off. Okay, so now this is all rinsed off, and I'm going to just start cutting them. I don't want to cut it too big, and I don't want to cut it too small, so we're just going to do
little chops here. And of course, you cut it as big or as small as you want it. So this here's from the claws. This is what I got from the claws. Okay, so this is going to make a few bowls. Okay, I'll just cut them into whatever size pieces you want. And then I'm going to take all this and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, and I'm going to start making my broth, all my seafood stock. So this goes in the refrigerator, and now we're going to make the stock, because that probably is going to be the longest part of the cook time. And it's not going to be that long though, it's going to go quick. So that'll be the next step. Okay, so here are my shells. I'm just going to break them into smaller pieces. Okay, just use your shears here. Okay, now we're going to take these shells and about a 1/4 cup of butter, and we're going to put this in the skillet. And then we're just going to like saute this for a little bit, and then we're going to start adding water to it. Okay, just get the pieces broken up as much as you could. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go get my butter melted in my pan, and then we're going to start adding the shells in. That'll be the next step. Okay, so in a skillet here, I'm putting a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter in here to melt. And as soon as it starts melting, we're going to start adding our lobster shells in here, and that'll be the next step. Okay, so now that my butter is melting here, I'm going to go ahead and add the shells in. Okay, so now this here is going to saute on medium-high heat for about 5 minutes. So just keep moving the shells around in the butter. Okay, I'm going to add 1 clove of garlic in here as well. So this is 5 minutes on medium-high heat. Just saute it. Okay, and then we'll get to the next step after the 5 minutes. Okay, now that the 5 minutes are up here, we're going to lower the heat a little bit, and we're going to start adding 5 cups of water. Actually, we're going to do 6 cups of water. 6 cups of water. Let this get to a boil. Okay. 6 cups of water. Let this get to a boil so we could turn the heat up again. I'm going to put 2 bay leaves in here. And then I'm going to put some fresh rosemary I just got from the store the other day. So this right here is going to start giving all the flavor to this soup. So here's a sprig of rosemary in here, and then I have fresh sage I bought. So I'm going to put some sage in here. We want this to have so much flavor. So maybe just like a couple pieces. Okay. So now when this gets to a boil, we're going to simmer this for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we're going to strain all the stock out of this, and the shells and the herbs are all going to go right in the garbage. Remember, I did put a garlic clove in here as well. So let this start cooking. Let it get to a boil, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so while my stock is cooking over there, I'm going to cut up my celery, my carrots, and my onion. So we need 2 celery stalks, 2 carrots, a large onion, and 3 cloves of garlic. So it was a total of 4 cloves of garlic, but I put the other one in the stock. So I'm just going to kind of rough chop this, but I don't want the pieces to be too big. So I'm just going to make small pieces. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to finish the celery after. So we're going to finish the celery, and then we're just going to kind of rough chop the carrot. Not too big, because the soup is not going to cook that long. And I'm going to use an immersion blender. So I'm just going to cut these up a little bit smaller. Okay. And then I will get the other carrot cut up. And then the garlic, just cut it in half. Okay. And now the onion, we're just going to cut it in large pieces. Okay, just cut it in pieces, because we're going to take all these vegetables now and we're going to saute them in butter and get them ready for when my stock is done. Okay, I'm just going to cut up the rest of the celery and carrots. I'll just do that real quick, and then we'll start the next step. Okay, so in a large pot, I'm going to melt a 1/4 cup of butter. So for this recipe, we are using a 1/2 cup of butter in total. So let this butter here melt. And as soon as it melts, I'm going to start adding my vegetables. Okay, now that my butter has melted, I'm going to start adding my vegetables. I'm also adding the garlic in at this moment as well. Okay. So this is going to saute until the vegetables are softened. So just put it on like a medium heat. And I would say it's probably about 5 minutes or so. Okay, so while that is softening up, I'm going to add a teaspoon of sea salt to the vegetables here and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. So mix that all up and let this go for about 5 minutes. Okay, my stock has about 10 minutes more. Just look at the color already, and it smells amazing. So I'm just going to put the lid back on and let it finish up. Okay, so my vegetables here are softened. I'm going to quickly strain my seafood stock because I'm going to need to add it in like momentarily. So I'm just going to get to that step real quick. Okay, so my stock is finished cooking. I'm just going to take the large pieces of lobster out before I strain it. Okay, so here I removed all the pieces of the shell so it's easier for me to strain. So I'm going to start straining. That's the next step. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start straining. Okay, it's a little at a time. Okay. Okay, I think I'm spilling some of it out. So I'm just gonna finish straining this and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so I strained all my stock and now we're gonna go back to the vegetables. We're gonna add some tomato paste and some flour and we're gonna start putting this together. Okay, so I had shut my vegetables off for just a few minutes so I can work on this stock, but I just turned it back on, and I need 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So add that in, and I need 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. So let's actually mix the flour first. Yeah, mix the flour first. Okay. Now I'm going to do my tomato paste. Let's get this in here. 2 tablespoons. I'm so excited for this soup. My lobster bisque. I mean, it would be great to have like a bunch of lobster, but you don't need that much because you still have the whole soup, you know, and the little pieces of lobster in there. Okay, so now we're just going to mix this up. Just cook it on a medium heat just to burn some of that flour off, just like a minute or 2. Mix that tomato paste in. Okay. So just a minute or 2. Keep an eye on it. Okay, and then we'll get to the next step, which is adding the stock that we just made. Okay, so now I'm going to start adding my stock in here, little by little. Okay, just mix it up. Get all the crispy bits from the vegetables, because the vegetables did get a little crispy because I left them on a little long. Okay, look at that. So all the stock goes right in here. You can see how it's thickening up. Okay, let's get it all in there. Okay, so after I put the stock in, I just simmered it for about 5 minutes. Now I'm removing it from the burner and I'm going to use my emulsion blender to blend it up smooth. So that is the next step. If you don't have an emulsion blender, just go ahead and put it in a regular blender and blend it till it's smooth, and we'll get to that part next. Okay, so now I have my immersion blender here and I'm going to blend this up, and I'll just do it off camera because it's loud sometimes. And after, I will show you when that part's done. Okay, so my soup is completely blended. I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my heavy cream, and then the soup is complete. And then we're going to put our lobster in a bowl, add the soup on top, and then it's done. So we will get to that step. Okay, so now that my soup is nice and smooth, we have to add in the heavy cream. So just start adding some. I have a cup of heavy cream here, but I would just do like a half, start with a half and see if you want to put more in or not. And the heavy cream is just is thickening up the soup a little bit. Yeah, so we're gonna go with a cup of heavy cream and your soup is done. And so I'm just going to add my lobster in my bowl and I'm gonna pour the soup on it. If I had 2 pounds of lobster, I would have thrown it all in here and it would be in every bite. But I'm just gonna split the lobster in each bowl and I'm just gonna pour this over. Please taste it to see if it needs any more salt, and I will plate it and I will show you. Okay, here's my soup. It's plated And I have a baguette I toasted right here. I'm going to eat with it. It tastes delicious. I tasted some, and I thank you so much for watching what's on my plate. This is my lobster bisque soup.